Alright guys, hi, welcome back to TimSum TV, and today we have a special event for you guys in partnership with Unprofessional Productions. We have running a promotion for their latest project, Black the Short, and today we have none other but one of the stars from the project itself. Care to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Zanna.
Welcome. Thank you for being with us today. I know you must have a crazy schedule, so I do appreciate you coming in after the holidays for us.
Oh, well, thanks for having me here.
No problem. Alright, so let's just get into some kind of basic topics. So, in case people might not know about your career history like that, how did you actually get into acting altogether?
Well, I started acting when I was 12 because on a whim I decided to audition for a musical theater production of Annie, and that was 8 years ago, and since then I think I've been in 35 community theater productions, and so I pretty much started acting and didn't stop.
So are you more like a theater actor, or do you more like identify yourself as just an actress herself, just like, or do you kind of like fit one role or the other?
I definitely do a lot more theater. I grew up dancing, so I've always been on the stage, but I basically take any chance that I can to act. I love doing it in any different.
So do you think there's a distinction between people who act like plays and Broadway stuff like that, and people who act like films, television, stuff like that? Do you think there's a difference between the two?
There's definitely a difference in how things are made, and well, obviously,
yeah.
There's a difference in the feel of it. You definitely have to have a lot more stamina to be a theater actor because you have to do. There's no shots. There's no
live
takes.
One take.
You get one chance, and that's it. And then you have to do it again and again, and it has to be right every time. But there's complexities to both because in film, TV, you don't have to get it perfect every time because you'll have different shots, but you have to focus more on the minuscule little details that you don't have to when you're on a stage because you're far away from the audience. But when you're on film, the camera can get up close on you and see every aspect of what you're doing. So
which do you enjoy more though? You say you enjoying theater more than you do working on short films, pilots, stuff like that?
I think I like theater more. I haven't done much with film, so it's hard to tell, but I like the live part of theater. I like seeing how the audience reacts to it every single time that you do it.
And that's interesting because is there some people have said that there's a sort of rush or something that you get when you're performing live in front of an audience? Is that something you still feel even after all these plays that you've done?
Definitely, because no matter how many plays I do, each one is a new experience. Even if I'm in the ensemble for 10 shows straight, which has definitely happened, then every single time it's still something new. It's always a new performance. It's always a new audience, and it really makes you learn to appreciate it every time you do it because you learn to look at it as something new every single time, even though you may be doing the same dance moves, saying the same lines, talking to the same people. You always have to act like it's new for the audience, and so you learn to appreciate it as something new every time too. So
now that you're kind of delving more into short films and kind of recorded projects and stuff like that, do you kind of feel are you able to do both, or you feel like you need to focus on one side or the other?
I think I'm able to do both, hopefully. It's actually easier to do both at the same time than you would think, because with films, you have certain days that you would do shoots and you can get it over with quicker, but with theater, you're performing and
so you gotta
rehearsing.
Know it all right by there that night, right?
You're rehearsing for months, but once the show opens, you usually have 4 days a week off and those days are when you can take time to do other things.
Yeah. So, is acting always been a passion, or is that even your true passion, or do you have something else that you're trying to strive for right now, or is acting just kind of something that you're currently a trend you're going through right now, or something like that? Has this always been something you've loved?
I think it's always been something I loved. I didn't quite realize it exactly when I was younger because, like I said earlier, I grew up dancing, but when I started doing theater instead of just dance recitals, I realized that the theater acting aspect of dance is what I actually always enjoyed more. I liked the dances where I could put more emotion into it, not just put on tap shoes and smile all the time.
So are you a tap dancer?
Mainly, yeah. I've tap danced for 20 years and I teach tap dancing as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I've done almost every kind of performing dance. I haven't done like ballroom dancing.
So I was about to ask you, like, what kind of forms of dancing is like? Do you discipline it? But like you said, tap dance. Do you just enjoy that like altogether more than anything else?
I think so, because it's the most energetic one while also being not so strict at the same time. Like jazz is energetic, but you have to still be very structured. But with tap, you get more freedom to put more personality into it.
I can imagine like the shoes that you guys wear to make those tap sounds. Do those hurt your feet? Because I always imagine they do.
Tap shoes don't hurt so much, assuming you don't get like a pair from like Goodwill. But no, the shoes that hurt are point shoes. The one where you go up on your toes. Mm-hmm. Those are the ones that hurt because that's just you're dancing on wood.
See, I feel like dancing is like a totally different animal than acting, though, right? Because like with dancing, like you said, there's a lot more training you have to do for dancing and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Dancing, that you can be naturally talented as a dancer, but even if you're naturally talented as a dancer, like you're naturally hear rhythm or you're naturally flexible, you still have to get that structure to it. You have to get that training. You can't unless like you are like by some miracle have
like the best structure ever.
Yeah, somehow. Then you have to have that training. But with acting, I don't feel you have to have that training as much. Some people can pick up a script, have never tried to act before, and they somehow just they connect, they have emotion, but dancing, you have to have training.
So how'd you get into tap dancing though? Is that something that you were interested in, or is someone in your family like kind of brought you onto, or?
I practically was born dancing
tap
because
dancing.
My mom owns my dance studio actually, so I didn't have much of a choice at first.
So is she a tap dancer too?
Yes.
So it's like your whole family, like a family of dancers?
My whole family. Even, I don't think my dad has tap dance, but we've had him clog before, I think. But everyone in my family has tapped at least for a little while.
Or do they all have like different forms of like arts that they do? Like, is everyone a dancer, or is like one a musician, or is one something like? Are they all like eclectic in their kind of like skills, or are they all?
Well, it's surprising how much everyone has branched off. I think I've been the one that stayed most in, I've definitely been the one that stayed most into performing.
Yeah.
But also all my siblings are significantly older than me. One of my brothers moved to DC, but he has stayed into like the technical side of theater. He does like people like the stage hands and everything like that. He does
lighting and all that.
Yeah, I think he mainly does sound design.
Yeah.
My other brother has done some productions with us. He dances a lot too, but he's done some theater productions, but not quite as many due to his normal job getting in the way of that.
That's so cool though that you have your whole family like kind of like in the arts, because a lot of times like you'll see like stories where like these people are like in the dancing and stuff like that, but like they're going against the grain of what their family wants. So like the family's like, oh, you got to be a doctor, you got to be a lawyer. But like how cool is it though to be in like in a family where like they encourage you to try different art forms like that? Like acting. Does anyone in your family like act or do like Broadway plays or anything like that, or like stage plays or something like that?
My mom, my brother, and my sister-in-law have all 4 of us have done shows together.
Oh, really? How is that working with like your family members like on a stage play like that? Like
depends on the show.
Is it like so it goes from play to play? Like on certain ones it might work. Other times it might maybe this isn't working out.
I liked it less when I was younger, aside from the fact that I always had to ride to rehearsal.
Yeah.
I like it more as I've gotten older. The worst time was I was in the show White Christmas, and all 4 of us were in it, and there was a dance number where at the end of it I was lifted up onto the shoulders of 2 people, and one of them was my older brother, and I mean he never dropped me, but every night I was like, great. Let's pretend that I haven't like annoyed you your whole life or anything.
like you're in his hands, literally.
Yeah.
So that would you say that's one of your best memories? Like, what are your best memories like from being like a stage performer, like in dancing, theater, anything like that?
Gosh, I probably couldn't narrow it down much. One of my favorite memories is I was in the show Oklahoma, and I don't think I ever actually had any lines in that show, but I was this dancing part that was only in one number of the show that I was featured in, and that one number I had so much fun with because I managed to like blatantly steal the number every night. I was supposed to, but my character was called the Fall Down Girl.
Yeah.
So it's this serious number where like the main actress is singing about how she's leaving this man behind her. Yeah. She's not letting anyone bother anymore. She's getting through things. I'm running around in the background like these spring curly pigtails flopping around, falling down everywhere. She's singing her like long high note at the end. I come up next to her and I'm just like twirling around. And opening night of that show, when I was twirling around next to her, the audience just starts cheering. And it goes on until I go back into I like slowly trudge back to the spot I'm supposed to be in. Yeah. And that is one of my favorite memories of any show I've done.
So that's one of your most elite, like one of the moments where like, oh my God, this is all worth like all that training, everything like that. One moment, like it's like complete euphoria or something like that.
Yeah. That show was when I was 16, I think. So I'd been doing theater for 4 years, and that was the moment that I realized
like you just love doing this.
This is the only thing that I want to do. Yeah. I'll do like waitressing jobs or anything else that I have to, but I have to keep performing. I don't care in what aspect, by what medium. I have to keep performing.
Well, going back to like your memories, like with all like your experience in like stage plays and everything, like, or do you have any like performance that we would just say is like a bad memory or like something like, oh man, like so it's stuff you're trying to forget? Because I mean, because do it in front of a live audience, I'm sure there's plenty of times where like maybe like something messed up.
Oh, I fall a lot. That's actually why I got that fall down.
So you got the fall.
I fall a lot, but that I've learned to get up and keep going. That's not too bad. I've had my skirt fall off on stage like 4 or 5 times, completely different shows. I've learned to get past the embarrassing thing like that because I'm good at laughing at myself, and apparently others are too, so that's great. But the memories I have that are ones I like just don't want to remember.
Just like black out.
They're not embarrassing ones so much. They're just the shows I was in that I was in, and I was like, this isn't fun. I don't like this show. I don't want to be in this one. There haven't been many like that, but there have definitely been shows like that.
So like taking it back though, like if you could give like advice to like your younger self before you started all these stage plays, like what would you like give your younger self advice about doing all these productions and stage plays now?
I probably have 2 things I would tell my younger self. One of them is a more professional thing of don't be afraid to talk to people, because I was really shy. I would tell myself, don't be afraid to talk to people. Make friends, make connections. That's the professional thing I would tell myself. Yeah. The actual thing I would tell my younger self is stop hissing at people, you little freak.
No, honestly, because that's the same thing, like, when you're saying talk to more people, like, I remember in high school, there would always be these stage plays and productions, but, like, that's one of my biggest regrets. I never performed in any, school plays or anything like that, and I wish I did, because now looking back, like, those have been great experiences. And it relates back, I was shy, I didn't want to be on stage, stuff like that. Like, what would you like tell younger people nowadays? Like, they might be interested in doing plays, but like they're just too afraid that they're gonna mess up, and you kind of like deter them from like even like giving it a chance.
I would always say never be afraid to mess up. Messing up isn't a problem. Mm-hmm. I teach a lot of younger students, some of them that don't always want to be in dancing or performing. And the biggest thing I always tell my students is, 1, always keep smiling. 2, if you're going to mess up, go with it. It doesn't matter. The audience most likely won't know you mess up.
So just make it look like it was on purpose, right?
Yeah, if you mess up, own it. Just keep going with it. My mom always says, if you're going to mess up big.
Yeah.
Just sounds worse when you say it out loud, but you know.
You're gonna go bankrupt. Go all bankrupt.
Don't just go gambling. Waste like all your money. Did you lose $1? Lose $100.
Lose all of it.
But no, if you mess up, own it. Just keep going with it. Fake it till you make it.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, like going back now, like being located down in the South, like do you feel like you have as many opportunities as you do here than you would say in like in a bigger city like Atlanta, LA, New York, even for like especially for like stage plays and stuff like that?
Well, in Columbia, there's surprisingly a lot of opportunities to do theater, but it's all community theater, which is great for getting experience.
Yeah.
But
as a career, to make a living off of it.
Yeah, like I said, at this point, I've done 35, 36 productions, so I'm getting to the point where I don't need to be strictly doing community theater. And so once you get to the point where you want to start getting into more professional levels of it, it's kind of hard.
So what community theater, like for like people who don't know, what is community theater?
Community theater is just theaters like music. They do musicals or straight plays, but it's no paid actors. If you get paid at all, it starts to get into professional levels. There's different levels of professional, but community theater is where all the actors are volunteering their time. It is completely put together by volunteers. Well, directors and choreographers and music directors would usually get paid, but the actors in it are volunteers, and that means that with community theater, you can sometimes get some amazing professional level productions depending on who you get. Yeah. But you can also get borderline high school level productions.
So like looking back, you said 35 or 30?
Somewhere in that
so
range.
Like
it's around 35.
nearly 40 plays. Like can you name like maybe the top 3 plays that you've done that you've enjoyed the most?
Okay. Oh gosh, top 3. Big Fish, the musical, is the one I've done recently, and
that's a musical.
It is a musical. It is so much better than you would think it would be.
I was talking about like I don't know how like these things are like turning into music, because I remember one year at like I think in the senior year of my high school they had a Harry Potter musical.
They have a Harry Potter musical.
I didn't know if that existed before or if they're just taking Harry Potter and just adding stuff to it, but like. They have a Legally Blonde musical. I didn't know that was.
That is an amazing musical.
I just learned that.
I've never done it, but playing Elle Woods is like one of my dream roles. But yeah, they have musicals for everything. I've been in Shrek the musical.
Which I don't understand. So like, are they just taking like movies and just adding or writing new songs for them and turning into musicals?
Sometimes. Sometimes they alter the plot a lot for it. I've never seen the movie for Big Fish, but from what I understand, they changed the plot a decent amount from the movie, replacing some plot points with new plot points. Yeah. It's all adding music. Yeah. But even some movies that are already musicals, they're already movie musicals.
Like Sweeney Todd and stuff like that.
Well, more like Disney things, like
Lion King.
Yes, Lion King or Tarzan. Those, even though the movies are already musicals, when they got transferred to stage musicals, they still change some of the plot and they still add more of it. Like if you watch, everyone knows The Lion King, it's a family-friendly movie, everyone loves it. When you watch the stage musical, it's still the same general plot, but they have much darker aspects of it. Yeah. There's a whole new song in it about that Scar sings, and it gets incredibly dark for Lion King.
I hope they have Jeremy Irons singing that song and playing in the But alright, so look at that. You said Big Fish. And what else?
Another one, this is another one I've done recently. Hunchback of Notre Dame was one of my favorite shows I've done.
I was confused when I watched the Disney version of it, because I watched it when I was younger, so I didn't know what a gypsy was. But but now I understand the plot of it a lot better.
Yeah, that's another one that it's usually this happy Disney movie, but when they took it to the stage, it got so much darker. The ending I call it Disney Les Miserables, which is the one where everyone dies. It's the same author too. So.
Is it really?
Victor Hugo wrote both of them.
Oh my god! Now that I'm thinking about it, yeah, they are both in France.
Yeah, but in Hunchback the movie, you have like the happy cartoon gargoyles. That's like everyone's favorite character. In the movie or the stage play, they still have the gurgles.
They're actual gargoyles.
They aren't quite as happy. You're never even really sure if they're real, but
so they're playing on like, is it just like is he just like crazy?
You never really find out. You
God.
can't tell completely if they're like actually there or if they're figments of his imagination.
Yeah.
But Hunchback is definitely up there in my top 3. Another one. Oh gosh, I've done so many. Mary Poppins. I did that one about 3 years ago. That was just such a fun show.
Would you get to play one of the Banks children? Or you get to play Mary Poppins?
No, I was about 17 at the time of that one, so I was out of the age range for either of them.
Yeah, it's fun.
And like out of the vocal range of Mary Poppins.
Do Mary Poppins Returns on that one?
Yeah, I love that one. But Mary Poppins was a lot of fun. What did I play? I played a chimney sweep, a doll, because I can't remember if it's in the movie. I haven't seen the movie in a while, but in the stage play, there's the scene where all the toys come to life and they're like attacking the Banks children. So I played a doll in that, and I played a kite. Not even a full kite. I played a fourth of one kite.
So I like talking about all these plays. Like, what are the most interesting roles that you play? Because obviously you said you just played a kite. Yes.
I've played a kite. I have played a Boy Scout. I've played an alligator. I was in The Little Mermaid, and I really don't know what I was. I was some type of fish.
You're one of like Ariel's mean sisters or something like that.
I was some type of fish. I don't know what. I wore a yellow, full yellow bodysuit with like these streamer thingies.
Oh, were you the flounder or whatever?
No. It wasn't a character. I was the dancer, and they had to put the dancers in something where they could be some kind of aquatic thing, and they could still like dance.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was. I assume it was a fish, but when I have light blonde hair and I'm wearing a yellow jumpsuit thingy, and it's supposed to be in the ocean, I kind of just look like someone peed in the sea.
So what was your favorite character to portray? Like that you've all right, like I love this character, and you just love the way you were portraying them, like on that stage.
That is.
Don't say the Fall Down Girl.
No, that wasn't even acting. That is a toss-up between two of my more recent ones. I recently played Amber in Hairspray, and she's the mean one. It's always fun to play a mean girl. On the opposite end of that, I also recently played Mary Ann from Gilligan's Island in a musical of that.
Again, I did not know they making musicals of Gilligan Island.
That one, not many people know but I love that show so much. I did it back in last March, but that same theater did it 7 years ago, and when they did it 7 years ago, my brother was Gilligan, my mom was Mary Ann, but not Mary Ann, Ginger, and my now sister-in-law was Mary Ann, and that's where my brother and my sister-in-law met.
Oh, wow. So, looking back now, all these productions, have you noticed a trend with all these musicals getting film adaptations, like Mamma Mia, Sweeney Todd, Hairspray, even do you watch these movies and kind of pick apart what the difference is between the stages?
Oh, I love looking for specific little details like that. I try to watch as many movie musicals as I can. But
High School Musical.
High School Musical's great. Sean Pay's dream right there.
Oh my god.
I love watching movie musicals and telling the difference between even if I can't watch the musicals or the movies themselves, I will just listen to the cast albums from the movie and listen to it from Broadway just pick apart the differences.
Oh man. Well, that was a great delve down into stage play. Like, because honestly, I haven't really known that many people who are into stage play, so this is great. Like, you including stepping into like a different media now from stage play itself. But what do you think you're gonna be working on next? Like, do you have anything planned that you're gonna be working on? Either like another stage play, another like short film, another like show or something like that you're working on?
Well, coming up next week, I have a concert thingy that I'm doing with my boyfriend, but that will be my last performing thing for a while because at the end of this month I'll be moving to Disney World to participate in an internship there.
Every little girl's dream right there. You're gonna work for an internship.
Yeah. I won't be getting to play as any of the characters there or anything, but yet. But I'm so excited to be working there. So.
But if you could like play any Disney character, like who would you pick though?
That is a tie between Alice in Wonderland. She's one of my favorites. I've always loved her, and Aurora from Sleeping Beauty.
For Sleeping Beauty. Wait, her name was Aurora?
Yes. No one ever knows that.
I always thought her name was just Sleeping Beauty.
No, her actual name is Aurora, but in the beginning of the film, when she's in the woods, she goes by Briar Rose.
Briar Rose. Have you ever seen that that Wreck-It Ralph #2 or whatever?
I did. I saw
with
that.
With all the Disney princesses.
I saw that like 2 weeks ago, and I was just sitting in the back of the theater sobbing my eyes out the whole time. That is in my top favorite movies ever now.
No, you want to know something funny? I actually went to go see that film with Andre, and I swear to God, this is what he said. He looked at me like, man, I wonder how much Pixar paid to have all these Disney characters. And I was like, I looked at it like, are you serious? They're the same company? Because he honestly thought that like this was a separate company. And they just bought all the rights to these Disney princesses. I was like, this guy's. But that is so crazy. Like, so you're going to Disney World to like wear an. How does that actually work out though? Like.
So I got the internship through the Disney College program. It's which is
again, I never knew even Disney had a college. I don't know all these musicals. I don't know like Disney has colleges. I'm learning new stuff right now.
So the Disney College program, it's not actually a college. It's not going to school at Disney, which is what a lot of people think. It's an internship which is only available to people that are in college or have graduated within the last 12 months. It was 6, but they just updated it to 12. And so in the internship, it's basically like applying for a job. You submit your application online. You have to go through a web-based interview, which is basically like a personality quiz.
Yeah.
And then a phone interview, and then you find out if you've gotten in or not.
Yeah.
And that process for some people it takes like a week.
Yeah.
For some people it takes 3 months. I think the whole process took me about a month.
Yeah.
And once you're accepted into it, they'll place you in a role that could be anything from a face character to working
a kite.
to working like custodial around the parks. It's
okay.
Any of the jobs at Disney, pretty much, that would be standard entry-level jobs.
Okay.
I got accepted attractions. So attractions usually mean that it's actually a really broad category. It can mean anything from working with the rides, so like the people who do the little speeches that tell you to not be dumb about putting your hands outside of places that they shouldn't be. It can be working with parking and the people who drive the trams around when you're going into the park. For me, it means I'll be a park greeter, so one of the people up at the front of the park that help you scan into the park, and they like the ones that hand out buttons and stuff.
Yeah.
Just the people that you see when you first come into the park.
So that's interesting. So like when you go to Disney World, like all those like Disney princess and all those actors, those are actually like people that have trained for like a while there to do that.
It depends on the person. Some people, I know of people that I follow on Instagram, cosplayers that audition for Disney frequently. Some people have done over 30 auditions and have never gotten into a part there. I know some people that have gotten in on their very first audition. When you're auditioning for Disney for the different parts there, it is almost 100% on how you look.
Yeah.
Like, You have to have the right facial shape, the right eye shape, the right lip shape, I think. They don't care about hair, so that's good. Because my hair kind of looks like straw.
We can change hair, don't worry about it.
I've only ever actually gone to one Disney audition, and it was for Ariel. And what all that audition was they took you back in groups of about 30, 40, had you stand in 3 or 4 different lines. They rotated the lines to the front, and each time line would go to the back. And at the end of that, like maybe 5 minutes, they would say, okay, I want to keep numbers 32, 43, and 50.
Dang.
Everyone else is done, you're gone.
So they just keep you by like numbers, right?
They keep you by numbers. It's a typed out, so it is all you do is stand there in a line, and that's like the first round of the audition. It's competitive.
So it's like really like nerve wracking then, right? Because you're going against so you're in groups of 40s. How many groups are there though? Like hundreds of people there or something?
It depends on the audition. I think the one I was at, I don't think there were more than 200 people there, which is way less than I expected. But that
there's only 200 people. Don't worry.
But that audition was for the Voyage of, I think that's what it's called, the Voyage of the Little Mermaid there, where Ariel actually has to sing. So I think that scared some people off. I haven't been to one of the general meet and greet character auditions, but I feel like those would probably be a whole lot more crowded because it'd be more people thinking, oh yeah, you just put on a costume. No.
But honestly, I've never been to Disney World, but I've always seen that they're so methodical with their movements and everything. I was like, man, Disney must be they must be very picky about how they act, how they walk, because every time they have to take pictures and stuff like that, all the princesses have to have a certain form and way.
They're extremely precise. From what I've read online, because I've been doing research on this for years, I've wanted to work at Disney for a long time. I know for any of the cast members there, there are certain rules that everyone has to follow. Like, you can never point with one finger. You either have to gesture with your whole hand or 2 fingers.
What do you mean, pointing you have to this down?
Yeah.
Oh, it's right there.
Yeah, you can't point with one finger. There's some other rules I can't remember. I'm sure.
So it's a very strict code of
It's very strict. But for the characters, I know what I've heard is each character that you audition for and you get, I think you have to go through 5 days of training for that character, an extra day if they have an accent.
Yeah.
I think you're required to watch their movie every so often. Obviously you probably have to watch it in training. I wouldn't know.
Geez.
But then you have to
that'd be an awesome training right there.
Right.
Little Mermaid, guys.
This is your training. We're watching all of the Star Wars movies.
Oh, God. Even the new ones? No, but, honestly, it seems such a, why would anyone want to do this, though? Why would you want to put yourself in this kind of, it doesn't seem fun or anything like that, when you're, so rigid and everything that you have to do.
I know the reason I've always wanted to do it is, like I said, I teach, and so I'm very used to working with children, and also with performing, I'm used to putting on a face pretty much.
So it's best of both.
It's combining both, and it combines what I love about both, because there will be upset people, but at Disney, most people there are excited to be there.
Yeah.
So you get to see the excitement that everyone is feeling. You get to be a part of that magic that everyone is feeling, and you get to bring characters to life for kids and adults and everyone.
So is it like a gateway job? If you work at Disney World as one of these greeters, or you get to be one of the Disney princesses, does that open opportunities for more further jobs as an actress or something like that? I'm
hoping it will, but my biggest thing with it is because I know that as anyone in the performing industry, it means that more than likely you will end up working non-performing jobs because you have to actually have money.
Yeah.
And the good thing about working at Disney in any capacity is that everyone knows how strict Disney is with their cast members. So so whenever, like in the future, if I'm no longer working at Disney, I've moved somewhere else and I'm trying, like, say I was in New York trying to audition for things
cats.
there. No, not cats. If I was in New York trying to just audition for things, get into performing there, I know I would have to be working most likely a type of customer service job. And those can be competitive to get, even those. But having Disney on your resume, employers know how strictly Disney trains their employees. So having Disney on your resume, I've heard so many people like online put that if they see Disney on your resume, that's like an immediate interview at least, if not immediately a job.
So like the name itself just opens doors for you to like.
It does, because even if they don't know how strict it is, they see Disney on your resume. They want to know how it got there.
Like at least honestly, if I ever see someone that's like, you worked at Disney, like I'm asking them a follow-up question. What did you do? How did you get there? But that's great. So you don't see the Disney jobs as like the end game. You just see that as like just another step you gotta take, right? Towards
probably. I want to be able to work there for a while, but it's just an amazing place to be, and you get free access to the parks. So, but once I move past it, assuming that happens, it gives me more opportunities. So it's both, really. I want to be there for as long as I can, and then use it when I need to later.
So what is your end game? Like where, like in the next 10 years, where do you want to see yourself at?
I've never been good at answering that question. Because I've never really like everyone, especially in theater, I always hear people saying like, "Oh, you're in acting. You like acting. You must want to be on Broadway." Or
I was gonna say that.
But for me, it's not so much about fame or anything. It's about, I just want to be able to make a living and get by with what I love, with giving people those experiences, whether that continues being working at Disney World, whether it means working at some barely professional theater where I'm making $10 a show.
You're entertaining people, basically, is what. So, like, if you had to like pick one, either the field of dance or a field of acting, like which one do you think your heart would like fall towards more?
Acting.
The acting.
Acting, for sure. As much as I love dance, and it's been such a growing place for me, I definitely feel more in place when I'm acting. I like being able to pretend to be other people, and put myself in other people's shoes.
So, like, bringing that back too, instead of like just Disney characters, like if you were ever to get a role, like, and it could be any character, any fictional character, any real life person, like that you could portray in either, like I said, a stage play or into like a movie or TV, anything, like what character would you choose?
If I could play any character?
Any character.
There's one character that I'm dying to play one day. I consider it my top dream role. Have you ever heard of Little Shop of Horrors?
I've heard of it.
My favorite role from anything ever is the lead role from that, Audrey.
Who's she?
She's such a sweet character. She starts out in an abusive relationship with a dentist, and then he dies.
A dentist?
And you just see her like become, even though she's in this bad situation, she's always so hopeful.
Like optimistic.
She's optimistic. She's sweet. She's caring. Even when bad things happen to her throughout the show, film, whichever one you're watching, she's always thinking about other people and always caring about other people.
Oh. So that would be your dream role to get one day, right?
That is I love her, so yeah.
So they still have that playing on Broadway, don't they?
No, they don't.
They don't? They have stopped?
I wish they did. If I could see any show on Broadway, it would be that show.
Oh my god.
But no, they don't have it on Broadway right
See,
now.
I don't know why they do that. Like, because I know some shows, like, I think they said Les Miserables is no longer on Broadway either.
Nope.
So, like, I didn't know that they actually stopped, like, making sure, like, do they bring them back eventually or no?
Sometimes. Some shows do, some shows don't. Depends purely on the show. Usually a reason they do that is because Broadway has limited theaters, so they can't keep the same things going forever, otherwise they'll never get new things.
Yeah, that's true.
I think Phantom Is the one that's been going yeah.
So that one just been going on straight.
That one never ends.
It
never goes away.
That's one of the classics, though, right?
Yeah, that was the second Broadway show I ever saw. I think.
I remember the first Broadway show. I think the first. This is the actual Broadway. Like we went to Broadway and watched this as like a school field trip. We went to go see Ren, and honestly, I didn't think that'd be the best.
Goes on a field trip to
see Ren. See, honestly, I didn't think that'd be the best play to watch. Half the group was like, "What is HIV?" But honestly, like I enjoyed. That was the first kind of play that I ever saw too, and it was a Broadway play. And honestly, I liked it, but seeing how, because honestly in my head, it's funny, on the bus trip there they showed us the movie version of Ren, and I was like, oh,
and they still took you to see Ren.
They took us to see the Broadway play. I was like, I kind of enjoyed the Broadway play a little bit more because there's more energy in it, like, and that's something that I really enjoy when I'm watching like Broadways and stage plays. Just the amount of energy, because you have to entertain these people live instead of like if you're in front of a camera, like, you know, they could be left up to editing, they can just cut it to where it's entertaining, but like they're in front of all these people, you have to entertain them right there, and then you have to give them that energy, otherwise they're just gonna be slumping there checking their watch and all that stuff. Like, do you ever feel that pressure, like I'm right here in front of them, I gotta entertain, I gotta keep their attention or something like that?
Oh, so much. There have been a couple shows I've done, especially. It took me a long time to start getting bigger roles.
Yeah.
I don't like to use the word bigger because there's no spotlight thing. But when I started actually getting named roles that have lines, I started feeling...
The Fallen Girl or Dr. Lisa.
I started feeling so much more pressure to keep people's
to carry
attention.
the show, or...
Because when I like being in the ensemble because you get more freedom to kind of make things your own.
Yeah.
And I like doing that because then if people are watching me, it's because I like grabbed their attention.
Yeah.
But with playing like a named role that's more of a lead character, there's more pressure on it because it's not up to you to grab their attention because they'll already be looking at you.
Yeah.
You just have to make sure they don't get bored with you.
That is true. So I mean that is interesting too, how. Because if you look back, you said the role where you were the fallen girl, how you were able just to steal the attention, but like when you're in a named role, like you're already giving the attention, and it's what you got to do when you already have that attention.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the pressure on it. So if you have to keep yourself at such a an amped high level to make sure the audience there, do you ever see yourself like drained or like, you know, emotionally or physically, like after all these performances or something like that?
Oh, definitely sometimes. Sometimes the hardest ones are actually like opening weekend because that's the one where you have just gone through tech week. So you've been there rehearsing every night, usually till like at least 11 o'clock. And then you get to opening the show and you've done it a million times by the time the first people see it.
Yeah.
But with most shows I do, there have been a couple exceptions, but with most shows I do, that even when I've done it so many times, even if I'm feeling drained before I start the performance, once the performance starts, it just kicks something into me.
It's like the adrenaline hits you.
And sometimes it almost goes on autopilot, which some people would say is a bad thing because you don't put energy into it, but that's usually not true for me. I'll go on autopilot, just like go through the show, barely even thinking about it. The show will be over, and I'll be like changing back into normal clothes or something, and be thinking, did I do that?
Yeah, see, I was just about to ask you that. Because like, are you ever like so lost in the moment that you just forget like what you did or like anything? Like, because that's happened to me, and I can only imagine like if you're on a stage like where you're just delivering these lines, you're lost in the moment, you just forget all about it for like
so much. I don't realize that while I'm on stage as much, but it's that moment I step off into the wings, and I'm a fairly anxious person, so this stresses me out a lot. I'll get in the wing, like literally step off the stage, and I'll think, did I say that line? Did I like miss a whole plot point? What am I doing? Did I speak while I was out there? I don't remember speaking. But I will have done everything. I just don't remember it.
That must be too nerve-wracking. Like when you're standing on the edge, just waiting, ready to like go. Like, do you ever like have you ever messed up where you accidentally go out a little bit too soon, or like you miss your entrance points or something like that?
I've missed entrances before. I can't remember if I've gone out early before.
But you said that if you ever to do, you just get own it like you were there, just like walking around. And
Yeah. I've missed entrances before, but I think every time I've missed entrances is because I had a crazy quick costume change, which and that right there is.
So that's another thing too. Like, so when you have to like change outfits or like change sets and everything like that, like what kind of turnover rate are you getting? Like just a couple seconds just to like put this on, get back out there.
Depends on the show. I have had some shows where I don't change clothes the entire show. Because sometimes a show will take place over one day.
Yeah.
But I've also had shows where I think the show I had the most costume changes in, I was 14. It was the show Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. And I think I had 7 costume changes in the first act and then 6 costume changes in the second act. And that is a bizarre show. It's based on the biblical story, but they take it in the weirdest way possible. At one point in the show, I was dressed as a cowgirl, like full button-up shirt, long skirt, cowboy shoes, and a hat and everything. I had to run off stage after that number finished, and I had about, I think it was less than 30 seconds to change from cowgirl to flapper costume. So like the 20s dress, headband, and heels.
See, that's another thing too. Wearing heels during a play, wearing heels itself, I can remember it's just like a challenge itself, but like having to like perform while in heels, like is that like?
Some people find it challenging. As clumsy as I am, I'm surprised I don't. I think I've just grown up with it so much, especially because of dancing, and tap dancing. Because tap dancing, they have heeled tap shoes too, so I've gotten used to that.
They're not like stilettos though, right?
No, well, I think the highest I have, my heels that I'll usually wear for shows, if I have to wear heels, are 3 inches.
Yeah.
I think so. They're not small, but they can be difficult to perform in sometimes, depending on the dance. But usually, whoever's costuming in the show will take into account what you're doing on stage. So if you're doing some extreme dance number, that's not, as long as it's not like something you need to wear heels in, they usually let you wear flats.
Okay.
Heels are usually only if you're doing like a chorus line type number where it's kick lines, or if it's just a scene around it that needs heels.
Well, I mean, like you've been in so many roles. Like, do you ever find yourself particularly like picky with the kind of roles that you do pick, or you just you'll take whatever you have or you get at this point?
I've gotten more picky with it recently because once I hit, I think it was 28 shows, I realized that when I was like filling out my resume one time for my next audition, and I realized, looking at it, I had, out of 28 shows, 3 named characters. If it was even that. And that's what made me realize I have all this experience.
Yeah.
I
It's time
know
to, like,
I can do
more responsibility.
I can do bigger roles. That's when I started putting down, only for some shows, that I wouldn't take ensemble in those shows, because there were roles that I could play and there were roles that I wanted to do. Now, usually I'll only do ensemble in shows if it's a show that I really want to do.
Like they do, Little Shop of Horrors. Is that an ensemble one as well?
No, that's one I would only take.
You need the name.
It's a contrast. Depends on the show. Like Little Shop is one I couldn't do in the ensemble. I just couldn't. Because that would not only mean taking an ensemble role, it would mean taking an ensemble role and seeing someone else play the role that I wanted. Which can be torturous sometimes. But there are shows that I know that I'm going into because I'll be in the ensemble. Like Hunchback of Notre Dame is one that I did, and I knew that the only female role in that is Esmeralda. Couldn't do that. So that's one I went into knowing I'd be in the ensemble, and that's what I wanted to do in that one.
Well, like with your career being in acting, like having being on the ensemble most part, if you ever come across a role where you had to display more affection than you normally would, Like, how do you think you would react? Have you ever had any roles like that where you had like a love interest and you had to like show affection on stage and stuff like that before?
I've had a little bit of that, not too much.
I mean, have you ever prepared yourself for like if you ever come across a role like that, or are you not even just like you're not even looking for roles such as that right now?
Well, I am used to playing like the types of role. My typecast in ensemble roles is usually
Girl.
Dumb and slutty. So I'm very used to like. I'm used to dancing with guys, and so I'm used to, I don't know, having less personal space on stage than most are used to. I can't remember what show it was. There was one show I did, and I didn't know like half the cast, but I knew it was at a theater that I did a lot of stuff at. And I had this little featured dance part, and I had to like put my leg up on one of the main guys. I had never spoken to this guy, and the director was telling me what to do, and she showed me, like, she said, like, do your leg up like this, and I did it, and I was like, oh, hi, by the way. Like, I'd never spoken to this guy before. So personal space and being affectionate usually isn't an issue for me. I haven't had to do it too much in, like, one-on-one type things, but if it's like dancing type things, it doesn't bother me.
So did they ever train you guys for like scenes like that where like if there's like a kissing scene or something like that, like what do they tell like the actors during that, like, because like honestly I've always been curious about that.
It depends on the director. I've done I think 3 shows where I've had to kiss someone. The first one was the scariest one because I was 18 and had never kissed anyone, and it was with that director. I think it was, okay, here's the date that y'all have to kiss by.
Put a deadline on it?
Yeah, it's like, with theater, you have like an off-book date, so the day that you have to have all your lines memorized and everything. And it's usually the stage kisses are somewhere around there too.
But how awkward is it? Like, how do you even go about like talking, like, do you go to the other person like, hey, so we're gonna have to kiss by this date?
With that guy, I told him, like, I'd never kissed anyone before. He knew I was nervous. He didn't care. He pretty much took control of the situation, and it wasn't awkward at all. Kind of helped he was gay, but the other 2 shows that I've had to do stage kisses in, well, 3 actually. The next one was Gilligan's Island. I had to do a stage kiss with Gilligan. That was easy because I was dating him at the time.
Oh, so wait, your boyfriend was Gilligan?
Yeah. Yeah, he was Gilligan in that one, and so that made the stage kiss for that really easy.
Well, were you guys dating prior to that or like after?
I think we started dating like the week before the first read through, and then we broke up like 2 weeks after the show ended.
So you, like, I could see that because I always see like actors like in like Hollywood when they're like performing with another actress or actors like that, and they actually like get together during production and like they end up breaking up after. But like, do you think that's like a trend, like, because when you're working in such close proximity with someone?
Yeah, that can it's definitely a trend for a lot of people because you get really close to this person, and the guy I was dating that played Gilligan, we had actually just finished another show together before Gilligan.
So you already knew each other.
So we already knew each other. And so we basically dated for the run of Gilligan's Island.
Yeah.
Broke up not long after that. And then I did another show that summer. And that was the next stage kiss I had to do, was I had to kiss a guy in that. We ended up started dating the day after that show.
So you've been dating most of your, if they're not gay, they're your boyfriends at that point.
Yes, but
I see a trend going on right now. All right.
It's more true than I'd like to admit, actually. But I ended up dating my next boyfriend, who I'm still dating. After that stage kiss, then that show ended. The next day we started dating, and then he was the person that played Link in Hairspray.
Yeah.
So we had to do a stage kiss in that. So, but we were already dating at that point. And our relationship has lasted after that so far, so I'm not going to jinx that.
Yeah.
Knock on wood.
So it's interesting though. Like, imagine if the one you were with during Gilligan's Island crossed over with this one. Like, have you ever tried to prepare yourself? Like, how would you kind of explain if you had to say, like, do you think they'd understand you had to do a stage kiss or something like that?
They definitely understand, for one, because
they're actors and stuff.
Yeah. My boyfriend, my current one, who was Link in Hairspray, he not only had to kiss me in Hairspray, he had to kiss 2 other girls in Hairspray too.
Geez.
So he has no problems with that. He's also kissed my sister-in-law on the show, so we're both very comfortable with stage kisses.
God. So, but is it ever awkward though? Like, cause like now, like every time he sees her, like or something like that, like there's no awkward in that, right? Cause like
no.
it was just like it was just a kiss and it's over with, right?
Yeah. Most people, it's one of those things that it's only awkward if you make it
awkward.
It's kind of like how when you're like 13 and you're obsessed that you think everyone is worried about what you're thinking or what you're doing, and it's only awkward because you're making it
awkward. Yeah.
So it's definitely one of those things. If you're professional about it, then no one cares.
Like, do you think it'd be different though if like your boyfriends weren't like actors themselves, like they were just like regular, like I don't know, like working like IT at some company, like they were never actors? Like, do you ever think that would ever run as a problem?
It could. Honestly, I don't think that I could have a relationship that works that well with someone that hasn't at least done some acting experience, because with how much I do it, I don't think that it would work for many reasons with someone that doesn't have experience in it.
It's like a track, but I see like a lot of actors and actors trying to get together. So you think it's because of that same reason that, well, we're in the same profession, we know how it goes and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think it's 2 major reasons I think that you see a lot of actors dating. Is one, they understand that kind of importance that acting is to other people, because some people think, oh well, it's just a hobby or it's just something like it's really its own thing and you have to do it to understand
passion
it.
Of yours,
And I think the other reason you see so many actors dating is because when you do a show together or you do any kind of acting together, you spend so much time around each other that you get to know people on a very deep level quickly.
But do you think it's kind of different though, like, because you said acting itself is very competitive, right?
Yes.
If you have a significant other who's also in the same field, like, do you ever think like the pressure of like success on each end is gonna like kind of like strain the relationship a little bit more? Because like, say if you got like a role in like, you know, if you're going to Broadway or something like that, but like your other still like, you know, hasn't really like moved forward, do you think that kind of like bring or hurt a relationship to the point where like it can't work?
It can. That can depend on the relationship, and I think that if you have a relationship that really is straining it, then I think you have an unhealthy relationship to begin with. Because when your significant other, even if they're in the same field of you, is getting that type of success in their field, you should be happy for them. You can be sad yourself too and wish that you had that. It's okay to feel some jealousy or something.
Like you both audition for it and they get a lead and you get an ensemble and you're a kite.
Well, actually, with the guy that I was dating in Gilligan's Island, we also both auditioned for a production of Beauty and the Beast, and we both had roles that we wanted that. He wanted to be Lumiere, and I wanted to be Babette, the feather duster. He ended up getting Lumiere, and I ended up not getting in at all. But we both knew that was a possibility of something happening, and I know, like, he knew I would be upset about that. Yeah. He was understanding of that. I told him that even though I was happy for him,
it bummed you out still.
I was still upset over not getting in. I wasn't upset because
he got it, but you're just upset about my own.
That's usually what it is. If in relationships someone is upset over something like that, it's not usually because the other person is successful. It's because they are
as
not
successful. Yeah.
So it's just a jealousy, really. But
Yeah.
if you're in a healthy relationship, that shouldn't strain it.
Like I said, thank you so much for being here, and I
thanks for
hope
having
you
me.
all the success over at Disney World.
Thank you.